Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world. It is once again time for the WADcast. That's the Writers, Actors, Directors podcast right here from Wadco Media. This is episode number 108. I am one of your hosts, Josh, joined as always by the guy that puts the angel in the city of angels, Brandon.
Oh, that's so corny. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday night.
I said a nice thing this week.
It was so corny. Like, it's better when you just razzle me, because that was bad. That was bad. Like, that was just...
I decided to be nice, and you're just like, screw you. I don't even know what to make of that.
I still love you. Like, you're still my boo.
I know.
All right? So...
Yeah.
But no, it's been a long day today. Got off work this morning, got home, tried to sleep. Couldn't sleep, decided to try to put something boring on, like, I don't know, House of Dragon. And I watched the whole damn thing. Like, just, I don't know what happened in it because I was just zoned out, but it didn't look like it was very good. But aside from that, like, just, you know.
I know some people that enjoy it.
I know quite a few that enjoy
good
it.
For you.
Well, it's like Game of Thrones. I know plenty of people that enjoyed Game of Thrones. I just don't see the appeal.
No, I'd see the appeal. I just understand that appeal is not mine.
Let me rephrase that. Outside of gratuitous nudity, I don't see the appeal.
There are a lot of selling points. Again, none of which are really geared towards my particular tastes.
Yeah, I get that.
Unlike She-Hulk, which I ate with a spoon.
I actually really did enjoy She-Hulk. I was curious where the hell the story was going the entire season because it didn't really have much of a story arc for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then just
other than the intelligentsia thing, was kind of like the only running theme.
Yeah, that's really it. But yeah, so it's like I didn't know where the hell it was going to go. So like when I actually got there, I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty much how it goes in the comics too. Like how she was always breaking the fourth wall and stuff like that. So there we go. So I try to pull up the WADcast page here.
You mean the WADcast.com?
No. Our Facebook page, so I can see the commentators before you post them here.
That's cheating.
No, it's not.
I'm supposed to have complete control over everything you see.
I honestly don't even remember like my login information to do this whole, podcasting. That's why I still leave it up to you.
Fair enough. So yeah, it's been quite the hectic week. We've, it's the new season for TV. A lot of catching up on old shows coming back and trying to figure out what's new that's worth watching as far as standard network fare. It's the time of year for that,
Yeah.
But, it's also the time of year where people get really serious about trying to figure out when they're going to start throwing out their Oscar bait. But we're not talking about any of that tonight. No, we're going to talk about what's the opposite of Oscar bait? Oscar repellent?
Yeah, pretty much. Like just audience repellent.
Yes, audience repellent. It's like it's something you would find in Batman's utility belt.
Yeah, something you find in Batman and Robin.
Strangely enough, one of the most profitable Batman movies.
It still was horrible.
That was
true.
It
was so bad.
But tonight we're going to be talking about the dollars and cents of box office bombs.
Yep.
Sometimes you see a movie and you're like, how did that even get made? I'm sorry. I don't mean to bite on posture style there. What I mean is you look at a movie and you're like, who thought of this and who greenlit this? This is just nuts. How did it make money at all? And then sometimes you see a movie that's just completely flounders at the box office, and you're like, well, that's too bad because I enjoyed that.
And then they also have the other kind of movie that actually does very well at the box office, but it's horrible.
Well, I did not bring that list up, so
I've got two examples of those, but Ghostbusters 2016.
I'm guessing you were
yeah.
coughing Ghostbusters 2016.
Oh, is that what that said? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, that's one of them. But yeah, that's just an example. But they have really amazing movies that I thought were really good. Yeah. Like I don't know how other people look at it, but I don't think you can ever really go wrong with Robin Williams. And as long as the movie was, I really enjoyed Bicentennial Man.
Yeah, Bicentennial Man. That's an
interesting
one.
It didn't recoup. It didn't even make its budget in the worldwide box office. Yeah, I think it eventually caught up, but there was really no profit for it at all. It was just kind of what else?
I know it's one of those movies. Unfortunately, for some reason, it's not on my list. Could have sworn it was on this list. Anyway, let's take a long journey back to 2021. If we're going to talk about movies that didn't do quite well. Now, this is one of those movies that I think actually is pretty good, and that's West Side Story. I mean, it's got Steven Spielberg. It's a musical. Steven Spielberg directed an updated version of the classic West Side Story, of course, and it became an award darling as far as being nominated for several Academy Awards, including Best Picture. But when it comes to making money, it didn't. In fact, let's see if I have that here. It has a rough budget of $100 million, and the worldwide gross was $76 million.
Yeah.
What do you think that? Why would this, a movie that has a pedigree and it's actually something people should be interested in on paper? Why do you think they just didn't go back to theaters for this?
I don't know. I wish I had an answer for you on that one.
I know it wasn't exactly filled with star power, but I think that was one of the things that made it more alluring, because you're not taken out of the story by like, oh, look, it's John Leguizamo playing that character.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the movie. The musical numbers were spot on. Cinematography was exquisite. It was a very good representation of West Side Story, and yet it still lost money. Now, the easy answer is COVID, right? 2021, we were, I think at this point, just coming out of lockdowns, right? Yeah. And people are still hedging their bets on whether or not they should go out to the movies. There have been a few out there. Top Gun Maverick immediately comes to mind, where people say, you know what, this is the cinematic experience that's going to bring me back to the theater. West Side Story was not it. And that way I could see where it doesn't do $1 billion naturally, but you would think it would at least make its money back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but you have other movies that have come out that you think would make its money back, and it just drastically missed the mark. And whether it's like the content or the director, I think one of the biggest box office disasters was Mars Needs Moms, and that was a Robert Zemeckis film.
And that was coming
Robert
off
Zemeckis.
of course, Back to the Future and Forrest Gump.
Yeah, well, I mean, about like 2 decades later after Forrest Gump. This is like a 2011 movie, I think. But
Was it that?
it cost the studio 110 million dollars. Like the difference between what it made versus what it cost was 110 million dollars. There's no recouping that. It's just like it's a wash. But you have other movies that were amazing concepts, like really, like I mean, I felt really good. Dread with Carl Urban. I think it's one of the best movies based on a graphic novel. Definitely better than Judge Dredd from the 1990s with Sylvester Stallone. Have you ever seen it?
Dread, yes,
Yes.
absolutely
Okay.
loved it. It was very reminiscent of The Raid.
Okay, so I'm only asking because it didn't do well. It didn't have a large audience, and then after it got released to video and on streaming, it got really popular.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not streaming, but on demand at the time, and then eventually streaming. It got like a huge audience.
Yeah, I waited for it to stream personally.
I saw it in theaters. I walked out like just completely blown away by it. I was like, I didn't want to go because I just knew of the Sylvester Stallone movie. You know, the whole "I am the law," like whatever, like however he does that. That's all I know.
I am the law.
Yeah, I am the law. Like, and Rob Schneider doing whatever Rob Schneider does, which is be Rob Schneider. So
how could a movie with Rob Schneider and Sylvester Stallone not make $1 billion?
But here's the thing: is like it came out, people were mad because they didn't respect the source material, and then here comes this movie that absolutely respected the source material.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, no, they're like, no, it's not like the Sylvester Stallone one. It's like, okay, you know what? This is not related to our topic, but this is why I tell people: write for you, don't write for other people. You're never going to win. Just try to make it a good idea. That's it. Make it funny. So, but
more often than not, if a movie is decent, if a movie is good, it'll find its audience.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like, if I ever get the groomsman off the ground, do you think I'm ever for a second going to take my one-legged stripper amputation out of the story? Absolutely not. She's in there.
But
so it's like,
I mean, let's just.
I'm proud of that one.
You know, the impetus for this particular topic came for a conversation we were having about Bros.
Yes.
And how it did not meet box office expectations for the cast. And with the groomsmen in particular, as well as some of your other stories, I think it is very much in line with the Bros sort of genre.
Yeah, probably.
But one of the reasons I think something like that's just not pulling in money at the theater is because those types of movies are found on streaming.
Yeah.
It seems
right.
like in a lot of cases, if you're not a tentpole franchise or if you're not a blockbuster film, you are not going to get a ton of cash at the box office. Not because your movie's not good, but because people are reserving the expense of a cinematic experience for a full cinematic film.
And here's the thing, Bros just came out September 30th, right? I live in Los Angeles, okay? I live in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at multiple theaters here throughout the entire day today. A lot of theaters have this set for 4 showings throughout the entire day. Some theaters even have it for 1. So I mean, it's like
starting to phase out the theatrical run.
It's not selling. And honestly, I think it could have been better had he been more humble about that. So you know what? Like, let me ask you this: you and I never really have this discussion in front of the listeners. So, Mom and Dad never really talk about things in front of the kids. So let's I bring this up. Do you want to hash this out, the whole bros thing, since I have ample time tonight,
No, yeah,
or
yeah.
do you,
We can get into that, and
or do you want to just go and move that to next week, and we'll just use that as a small example for tonight's conversation?
no, we can get into it. Like you said, we got time. Let's do it.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize for not really abiding by what Josh and I agreed upon as far as what we were going to discuss tonight. But Bros is something that he and I wanted to talk about for the last week and a half now. And it is a box office. It is a disaster. So it kind of falls into the criteria that we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
But before we talk about Bros, let's try to keep in line with what we were going to talk about and have a few quick examples of movies that you didn't really think would be failures, but were still failures.
Okay, stuff that had all the makings of something that should do well, but just didn't.
Yes. Yeah. And then we'll jump into Bros because I really, really, really want to talk about Billy Crudup's behavior with this whole thing. It was. I've been saving it for the show, and it has actually been eating at me quite a bit because it's just I don't understand it. But so let's go ahead and jump into the um, failures.
Okay,
I'll
how about
go. I'll
this?
go through two. You go through two. We'll discuss them really quick, and then we'll go from there.
All right, how about this? The first one that comes to mind is 2011's Green Lantern. Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. Okay.
Ryan
Yep.
Reynolds coming off. He's the it boy, right? This, of course, before Deadpool and Van Wilder after that. So Ryan Reynolds is kind of a that go-to smart alecky guy, and he draws an audience. That's goes without saying. And pairing that with a popular DC superhero, you would think this is a natural fit. Why that didn't do the numbers that some other similarly profiled films did is still a little confusing to me. Although the quality of the film admittedly did not do it any favors, so it was probably word of mouth. What a lot of people do know is that that opening weekend can, yes, make or break a film.
Yep.
You have to pull in numbers. But one thing that often goes, untalked about is the second weekend run and how much of a drop off that's going to be. And usually the drop off happens when the drop off happens, and it does happen, it will happen. That's generally from word of mouth, right?
Yeah.
People are actually finally seeing the film for themselves. They're not just, going by reviews. They're not just trusting critics. That second week drop off has a lot to do with word of mouth. So even if critics were like, Green Lantern's amazing, that'll bump up first week sales, that opening box office. It'll give it a bump. But when people actually see it and they realize, this is not great, you're losing repeated viewings and you're losing the friends of the people that already saw it. So
Yeah.
another thing to remember is that in this day and age, as I mentioned before, there's a whole lot of streaming options out there. And people are satisfied or just happy enough to wait. Unless it's certain studios, Marvel comes to mind, certain actors. Tom Cruise, you don't really see people going, you know what, I can wait for that Tom Cruise movie. No, people are going to line up to see Top Gun. People are going to line up to see Mission Impossible. It's going to happen. Franchises, people, that's what people want. And I hate to say it, but it's what people want when it comes to theater experience. So Green Lantern failing to be a box office success is baffling to me. And my other movie, even though there's so many to choose from, I'm gonna go with. You know what? I'm gonna go with. How about Triple X State of the Union?
Oh God.
It came off of a fairly surprising success with Triple X, Vin Diesel. But maybe the fact that it had to change basically everything about it, including the
Okay.
star, uh, made people a little more hesitant to go see it. It still had the same attitude. It still had, sometimes some of the same jokes. But the idea that they could make a sequel to the original without the star
Yeah.
might have been a big turnoff and prevented people from going to theater to watch it. And it lost money. Honestly, I think if they could have gotten Vin Diesel to come back for a second movie, immediately, we could be in the golden age of the, what was his name, Xander something, Xander Cage.
No, Xander Cage. Yeah.
We could be in the middle of a Xander Cage renaissance as the the extreme, beginning with an X, version of James Bond. But now we'll never know.
No, and I'm okay with not knowing.
Fine. So, do you have a couple of examples?
Yeah. First off, was when I was actually kind of shocked by it was the Nutcracker in 2010 that came out, the Nutcracker 3D. And it's because it's actually my, you know what? Fuck it. There's my one per episode. I enjoy the ballet. I enjoy watching ballet.
Nothing wrong with that.
I enjoy going to operas. I enjoy going to musical theater, stuff like that. I really do. And the Nutcracker is one of my top 4 favorite, ballet / stage productions. And it's had some for some reason when you have a theatrical production, or a Broadway show or something like that, when you adapt it into a movie, there is no in between. It's either stellar or it's just abysmal. They changed so much stuff in the Nutcracker in 2010 that it's just like it was like, yeah, it had the titles for the movie, it had the characters' names and stuff like that. It had, the music and whatnot, but the things that you would think it would make the story. But it's like the person that wrote and directed it, they watched the play, they're like, oh, I can make this better and more edgy. And it didn't work. So with that said, it didn't lose a lot.
It lost $73 million.
I'm trying to be gratuitous. The budget was $90 million. The worldwide gross was $20.5 million because of how bad this movie was. So $69.5 million domestic. I'm sorry, worldwide rather. And that was and this was as of last year when this was put together. So whatever it is now is what it is now. Beyond that,
it has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 0%.
Yeah, I believe
literally nobody's liked this movie. And do you mind if I read to you a quote from Roger Ebert?
Go ahead.
Okay, because I thought this was Roger Ebert, world-known movie critic, said, "From what dark night of the soul emerged the wretched idea for the Nutcracker in 3D? It's one of those rare holiday movies that may send children screaming under their seats." Yeah, and most of the money was made in Russia.
Yep.
Which, I guess it's not super surprising. But the fact that it made so little during the holidays, no one took anybody to see this.
Oh, yeah. Well,
That is an
side note,
example, sir.
I take Roger Ebert's criticism with a grain of salt because I don't know if you've ever seen Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. Holy shit! This is a movie he directed. Horrible movie. I appreciate his I agree with him. Don't get me wrong, I do agree with him, but like just Beyond the Valley of the Dolls was just bad. It was miserable.
What else you got for?
It's actually a tie. It's actually a tie because I honestly do not believe that either one of these directors, and I don't just mean two, I mean more than two, understood what they're doing with these two movies, or understood the audience, or respected the audience. So it's a toss up between Ghostbusters 2016, which wasn't a box office bomb per se. It did okay. The reshoots kind of like launched the budget even higher. So if they didn't do the reshoots and cost an extra couple $1 million, they probably would have actually been okay. But they did a little bit more than than the budget. But to make a profit, you have to make almost like 3 times what the movie costs to make. And that's because Paul Feig, whatever, did not understand or respect the source material or the fan base for this established franchise.
Right.
And I've talked at great length about Ghostbusters 2016 before, so I don't have to dredge it back up again. So I'll move on to the second one, which was the Super Mario Brothers movie from 1993. A movie so bad was so problematic that you had all these actors that absolutely would refuse to read their scripts. They just went like they knew it was going to be changed. The production design was set in like I think a warehouse in the middle of like a desert that had next to no air conditioning. It was always hot,
and everybody was drunk.
Yep, Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo were drunk the entire time, for the most part. Like, I mean, they just didn't see the point. And once the movie was released, these directors that were so proud, this husband and wife team, that were so proud of the movie, that were apparently also very toxic on set for the actors, they were blacklisted. They have not had a single film, aside from I can think like a short film or a documentary, that they funded themselves. To date, they've actually walked into places to try to get, like, I guess, put their names in the candidacy for directorship, and we're pretty much like told that we just want to meet the people that made Super Mario Brothers. You guys can go now. Like almost like it was like just like I don't know, like a hazing for them or something like that. I feel kind of bad for them, but I don't. Let me see here real quick. Budget. Box office. So, oh yeah. So in 1993, Super Mario Brothers movie made $38.9 million worldwide against a budget of of a projected 42 to 48 million, depending on where you get the information. But still, that's bad. But yeah, so like that's one I had. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. It's stupid. It's really not a Mario Brothers movie at all, aside from a few of the names and the Mario Brothers eventual overall colors. Not really even the design, but the colors on them. But yeah, not good, like at all.
Well, I would like to bring up one more.
Go ahead.
Mostly because we're currently in the midst of the bomb as we speak.
Okay.
Well, 1 week ago today, movies released with, pulling up the numbers here, an $80 million budget. You know, for movies today, that's pretty good budget for a movie. Yep. Now, here, listen to this cast, okay? Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, John David Washington, Chris Rock, Mike Myers, Michael Shannon, Timothy Olyphant, Taylor Swift, Rami Malek, Robert De Niro. You would think, wow, this movie's got some power behind it, right?
Yeah.
But during its opening weekend, it made $6 million. They said it is on track to lose close to $100 million, and that movie is Amsterdam.
Yep. I've heard all about it.
Now, I first heard of this a while ago, this movie, and I thought to myself, this actually sounds something I'd want to see. I mean, not go to the movies and see it, but watch it eventually. HBO Max for sure. But I had no idea that it even came out until they said it bombed.
Well, here's the thing. It just came out a few days ago. It came out on the 7th. And even now, much like with Bros, it came out on the 7th. It's more recent than Bros was. But much like Bros, there's only 4 showings at each movie theater per day.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like it was like Bros, it looks like it was a project that the theater didn't really have a lot of faith in, which even considering the talents involved.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, like not every actor, even if they're an Academy Award winning actor, not everything they touch is amazing. What was that movie with Benedict? What's his face? Doctor Strange. That was supposed to take place in Wisconsin, but it was shot in New Zealand or something.
Doctor Strange.
No, not Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strangelove.
No, but it's like, but either way, it's just, I can't think of the movie, but it was just like it was a bad movie. It's just really, I thought it was really sucked.
Benedict Cumberbatch in a bad movie. Now I kind of want to know what it is.
Look it up right now.
Benedict Cumbersnatch.
Huh?
Oh, I'm just not making fun of, but getting his name wrong for comedic purposes.
Let me see here real quick.
And it's supposed to be set in Wisconsin?
Yeah, Power of the Dog. That's what it was.
Oh, that was a straight to Netflix deal.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, it bombed.
You can't
in my heart, it
on
did.
Netflix.
It did in my heart.
And it won Academy
it sucked.
Awards.
It was bad.
It was not bad.
It was so bad. It was so bad. Oh God, couldn't get through it. But either way, we're not here about like what there's one movie that we need to get to that absolutely deserves to be talked about for not the movie itself, because the movie is actually the ratings are kind of dropping a little bit as more people see it. But Bros, as we mentioned earlier, with Billy Crudup and a whole bunch of nobodies. I'm sorry, Billy Eichner. Who the hell's Crudup? Billy Crudup. That sounds familiar.
It's probably some guy.
I think it's an actor. But either way, so Billy Eichner, I kept saying Crudup the entire time.
He was in Almost Famous, The Morning Show, Big Fish. Rudderless Sleepers. He's just a name you remember, but not so much a face.
Oh, you know why I was thinking Billy Crudup?
No, I have no idea. Other than his name's also
because I just watched what do you call it? The American remake of Hello Mommy yesterday.
Okay.
And Naomi, I watched it because of Naomi Watts, and she's with him. I don't know how the hell I even put those two together. But okay, so Billy Eichner, Billy Crudup can burn in hell. He took my woman. So let's go ahead and move down to Billy Eichner. The weekend, not a week, not 2 weeks, not 3 weeks. The weekend, Bros came out. Billy Eichner was talking about how more people need to go see this movie. And he's getting frustrated. He's taking his frustration out on the internet. I misquoted him before. He didn't say if you don't see it, you're a homophobe. But he says if you're not a homophobe, go see it. Like, well, maybe just release it on streaming. Like, there's zero. Like, I mean, this movie is performing so embarrassingly badly in the theaters that they're trying to figure out what to do with it at this point. Let me see real quick. The budget for it was $22 million, and I don't even think it's reached that at all.
No, I checked. It was like right above 9 million.
Yep. Yeah. I'm looking at it right now.
They should be able to get that from the streaming rights alone to at least cover the budget.
Oh yeah. But like the thing is, like it's a tired genre that has not been doing well at all, except for on streaming.
Oh yeah, the romantic comedies, even the worst romantic comedies, are pulling some pretty good numbers.
Oh yeah,
on streaming.
Yeah, everyone wants to see these stupid ass movies on streaming. Like, we don't have to go anywhere. Like, I can cuddle up my boyfriend in my pajamas and watch it with him. Whatever, he's not going anywhere. Like,
little Netflix and chill.
It works better on streaming. Before streaming, back when you had the days of like Katherine Heigl, like in every damn romantic comedy that ever came out for like easily 10 years, they did great. They made a lot of money, but that was before streaming really picked up. That was back when Netflix was in its infancy, and I believe at the time, shipping DVDs to your door. Yeah. So, little history lesson, kiddies that don't know about that. Yeah. So it's like, while Netflix was in its infancy, while Blockbuster was still reigning supreme, romantic comedies did great in theaters and great in home video release. They did amazing. People were seeing them all the time. Then comes along our pesky little streaming services that started off with Netflix, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually everyone else followed suit. And now we've got like 25,000 streaming services where we don't really even need the theaters anymore.
Except for the spectacles to
except for the
immersive,
Yeah, like when it comes to like superhero movies, when it comes to like, I guess James Cameron, that useless hack. When it comes to a lot of other movies, depending on the movies, they do great. Star Wars, theaters, absolutely. There are movies that deserve to be seen in theaters. I can't say that about Bros. It's one of those movies where, I mean, come on, the poster alone, it seems like it was just designed to piss off homophobes, which I respect that.
I don't think that's the case though, as far as people didn't go see it because I think it's more along the lines that it's a romantic comedy because the biggest movie of the year was also the gayest movie of the year.
Yes,
and of course, Top Gun Maverick.
I'm not saying, that's a super gay movie. The thing is, like, I'm not even talking about like the homophobes or anything like that. What I'm talking about is the fact that all the marketing in the world could not save this movie from a theatrical release. You could actually, maybe it could have, but Billy Eichner is known to be just like an insufferable jackass most times. Like, that's his character. It's his shtick. Yeah. He runs around screaming with a microphone. Who wants to go see a movie with this guy as the lead role? And like, the only other thing I've seen him really do anything in was in Parks and Recreation, in which case he was still just Billy Eichner doing his shtick. Loud and obnoxious gay man.
I think if they wanted to push this, if the studio really got behind it, they could have done a full court press, get all of the, stars on all of the major, talk shows, and even then, I'm no industry expert, but my best educated guess would be, even with a full court press, they would break even at the box office because of the genre. Nothing about this says to me that, because every once in a while there is a romantic comedy that sort of breaks the trend and becomes, a pretty good box office hit. But nothing about this particular movie says to me this is the thing that is going to break the trend, become the next big romantic comedy, and push us forward into a new era. It's nothing about this says that at all. And I see the Rotten Tomato scores. They are good. They're very good.
Well, absolutely.
As we keep saying, it should be streaming.
But here's the thing. Here's the most baffling part for me. Judd Apatow is he and Harold Ramis are my idols when it comes to writing and directing. They're my idols with the contents of what you see in movies. Judd Apatow backed this project fully as a producer, 100% behind it. But even Judd Apatow, what has he really done in the last, however long now? He's put some stuff out there, but it's been a while now. But the marketing was absolutely botched here. I'm trying to look at this the stats that I had earlier. I just had to reopen them. But no, here we go. In all the United States, it says that aside from a sizable marketing push from Universal, which I don't remember any marketing push at all from Universal, but it was released in 3,350 movie theaters in the United States.
So it got a wide release.
Yeah, it got it. No, it got a wide release. But I'm trying to figure out
what are you trying to figure out?
Just where it went wrong with everything else, aside from it being a rom-com.
Well, naturally, as much as I hate to say it, yes, there's going to be a segment of the audience that is going to be turned off by the idea that it's about two male leads.
Well, let me just say this really quick. I'll say this about Bros. And it's only because I saw this other movie about 3 or 4 nights ago. Billy, if you ever for a second watch this show and you've made it past me
calling him an irritating prick.
Yeah. If you made it past me, pretty much is just slamming you down for what made you marginally famous. At least it's not The Munsters by Rob Zombie.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. That has to be the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. But so I'm sure Bros is good. Now we've had rom-coms set in the gay community before, but I will probably go see this if it's still in theaters when I get the time to. I will probably go see this movie because I want to show support for Billy Eichner, because even though I don't really care for him as what he does with the Billy on the Street stuff and everything else, I respect him. I do respect him. He's got a lot of hustle. He's got a lot of drive. He's got a lot of heart. So I do respect that about him.
It's good.
But I would like this to be something where hopefully he points that judgmental pendulum where it belongs, which is at Universal. It's all in Universal. It's they honestly expected the cast to do the marketing for them. Not just show up at panels or anything like that, but to get it out there. Billy's got Billy on the Street. He can market on Billy on the Street.
They can do all the marketing through the Twitters, right?
Like, I mean, I saw, like, even living in Los Angeles, dude. I've seen not one billboard out here, not a single one.
And talking
I
about
haven't
your
seen
key demographic.
I haven't even seen posters. And well, you see them in like Santa Monica where all the gay guys are, but it's like West Hollywood, absolutely. But
Mm-hmm.
that's where you see them. It's like it reminds me of Charlie's Angels, where I saw one billboard the entire time of this movie's wide release off of the 405 freeway. And that's all I saw. I didn't see anything else out here. This is pretty much fallen victim to the same thing. I mean, hell, even like the WADcast has a digital billboard somewhere in Wisconsin. We get like show we get like so we get shown like I think for 5 minutes a day in Wisconsin somewhere on a highway billboard. Cost me $25 every day I decide to do it. But you know what?
I didn't know that.
Oh, I thought I told you about that.
No.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
I would have already planned my trip.
It's a quick flash through, but and it's you. But the thing is,
Wait,
it's huh?
Because I got people in Wisconsin, and I don't want to traumatize anybody. Oh hell!
Remember those pictures that I made of like
Lord.
us like seductive? Yeah.
Well, to be fair, we might have single-handedly been responsible for ticket sales for Bros in Wisconsin.
Oh God. But yeah, so whoever drives on I forget what highway in Wisconsin gets a brief little glimpse of you laying seductively in a nice velvet-looking robe with your beard, smiling with the WADcast logo just above your head.
I don't know if this means I can never go to Wisconsin again, or I need to go there immediately.
In the robe, in front of the sign, and wave.
I have the shirt in my closet. One for those that aren't aware, that picture was from the set
I'll be
of
right back.
a short film I did. And one of the perks of shooting said film was I got to keep the wardrobe. So thank you, Henry and Heather, for having me, do the short film. Disunity, it's available to watch on Vimeo. Want to check that out? We do have the links and all of that available somewhere on the WADcast Facebook page. I should probably put those. Let's see. Should probably put those on the main WhatGoMedia.com website and have people click through that to not only that short film of which I was the focus of, but also to Henry's feature film, The Exchange, in which I had a part. And one of the things that we try to do when we can, as a matter of fact, if you go to our YouTube page, I do have a lot of links to not only the stuff that either features me or Brandon as far as short films and videos go, but also I try to link some of our friends' material as well, kind of spreading the love and support through adding things to just different playlists. And it's not always super easy to cultivate a bunch of different playlists, especially on YouTube. But over the last few weeks, I've tried to get these playlists up and running. Some of my favorite short films that we've done are on there. Doggone Dangerous being particular. One of them where I played. If you haven't seen it, we'll just say I played the police chief as the young detective tries to get to the bottom of the case of missing pets. I'm not saying it would have been a box office king, but
Sorry about that.
probably wouldn't have been a bomb. I was just telling
Love
people that I've been trying to cultivate playlists for not only things that we've done short films wise, but also friends putting together those playlists on YouTube.
Yeah.
Getting some extra plugs in while I can.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like either way. So I do apologize for stepping away. So like, what plugs are you talking about?
I've been going through not only our YouTube channel, but also some of the people we know.
Yeah.
And just kind of making playlists for people to go peruse and see, hey, this is the work that they've done, and this is the work that people they know have done. And
I gotcha.
I thought that would be pretty cool. It's kind of keeping the community together and helping spread the word for each other about each other.
Yeah, I gotcha. Skitzer Raven. He's a good friend of mine. He's an amazing musician, amazing composer, and amazing rapper in Jacksonville, Florida. So his stuff's always worth checking out. Him and Kevin Caliber also. That's another one. But yeah. So I don't know.
You think a lot of films fall under the, we'll say, a misguided direction of releasing wide when the genre just doesn't call for it anymore?
I think it's one of those deals where it's just like, okay, well, it was written by Billy Eichner and his friend Nicholas. What was it? Nicholas Stoller? Let me see here real quick.
This is
Nicholas
a Judd
Stoller.
Apatow produced film, by the way.
It is produced by Judd Apatow, but it was directed by Nicholas Stoller, who's Billy Eichner's co-writer. But it doesn't really have any like actual big names in it. It's got what was it? Luke McFarlane, Mr. Lawrence, Dot Marie Jones, Eve Lindley, Jim Rash, T.S. Madison, Guy Branum, Guillermo Diaz. I mean, so there's really not like any major names in this movie. It's very much like
got Harvey Fierstein.
Like I feel like most of the money for this movie went into like permits for filming, travel, and to pay Billy Eichner. Because for the life of me, I don't know who any of these people are. Okay, Luke McFarlane. And the trivia on IMDb, it says this film repeatedly makes fun of Hallmark movies. Luke McFarlane has starred in 14 Hallmark movies. I mean, I think I found the issue right there then. You decided that you wanted to go ahead and grab a Hallmark actor and put him in an actual big boy movie. But like this is more something that would actually be, like you said, on Netflix, on Hulu, Amazon Prime. Well, not so much Amazon Prime, but like HBO Max, wherever. Just get it out there.
I think, to be fair, it is getting good reviews, even from the audience.
Let's see.
Brandon is reading intently.
Well, I'm trying to look up the some information about this.
Scanning the pages, looking for the piece of gotcha trivia that'll really bring the whole case together. It's like watching Perry Mason in action, folks.
I mean, like, and the other thing is from what I'm seeing here is that a lot of the research showed that this movie largely was observed in theaters by gay men. That's it. Like, I mean, you have a movie that's really but that's it. It appeals to a certain group of people, like just like a very certain demographic. It's not like a broad demographic. It is a very niche demographic.
Can
Like,
I
I mean,
throw this out there real quick?
what's up?
Why not release it during Pride Month?
And that's my other confusion. That's my other thing. Why release it in October? You and I discussed this. Why release it at all during October? Halloween. Like, why? I know you want to. I know Universal wants to recoup the the finances, but if this movie were released in Pride Month, you said this before yourself, it probably would have been great. It could have completely been a slam dunk in the box office.
It markets itself.
But yeah, I can't. I don't know what to even say about this. Now, it's not exactly a box office bomb. It's not a success by any means. But imagine what it could have been had they just held off a few more months. You know what? You release it on Valentine's Day. Or around that time period of Valentine's.
Yeah, that's another good spot.
And then,
And every advertisement should say, you've already seen the latest superhero flick. Now, come watch, this movie.
Yeah. Now here's the latest. Here's the latest super Hebrew flick. Like he/bro. Bros.
Superheroes.
Okay, but let's see. But yeah, I think that would actually. I think that would be it would have been better for them. Like if they had actually just held off. 1 second. Okay, there we go. If it was released in either Valentine's Day or as you said, Gay Pride Month, it could have just been. It could have made its money back tenfold. But it's not a superhero movie. It's not like a Martin Scorsese movie. It's not James Cameron. These movies just do not do well in the box office. If I were to come to Florida, tomorrow and be like, hey, Josh, we're about to go make The Groomsmen or Hurricane Party or Making It or, Snapshot or whatever other movie, whatever script I've written, one of the 15. Most of them are comedies and some of them actually do have the rom-com element to them to a degree. It would never be a theatrical release unless it was just for us to screen it. It would always be straight to streaming with option to purchase a physical copy on Blu-ray or DVD.
Doesn't make sense. It makes sense for the genre.
So, I mean, that being the case, this really is on Universal, but it's also on Billy Eichner because he just seems to have had so much faith in his own movie that he kind of let himself down. Now with Nicholas Stoller, I'm trying to think of what else he's directed before. Because that's also got a big thing with it too, because people have like with me, I have specific directors that I enjoy seeing their things. So I enjoy watching.
Has 16 directing credits. Storks, Neighbors 2.
Okay.
Neighbors. The 5-Year Engagement. Get Him to the Greek. Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Okay. I said his name sounded so damn familiar. And the Muppets, Most Wanted, all that stuff. That was producer writer. Okay, I'm sorry, never mind. So yeah, I mean he's directed some movies that were actually hysterical, that were great.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall is a classic.
It is a classic, but the thing is let's go through this list now. Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Get Him to the Greek, 2008, 2010, The 5-Year Engagement, 2012. Let's see, Neighbors, 2014. These movies did better because, as before, Netflix was around when Neighbors came out, but it was still kind of getting its grounding with the whole streaming bit at the time. But between Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Getting to the Greek, Netflix was strictly a rent a DVD and have it shipped to you through the mail and send it back when you're done kind of business. That's what it was.
Yeah.
5-Year Engagement was quite literally, as with Neighbors, it was released in theaters in the absolute infancy of streaming services at the time. But now I'm curious. Let's see here.
Bros is, of course, his lowest grossing movie worldwide. Lowest opening weekend. Even Storks pulled in 21 on its opening weekend with 184 worldwide million.
Yeah. Yeah, like 5-Year Engagement in 2012 did great. Budget of $30 million and the box office of $53.9 million. So it made its budget back, but it didn't make all of it back. It wasn't like a phenomenal film, but it showed that he knew what he was doing with his directing. And the 5-Year Engagement, it was actually, I think it's a great movie. I really did, enjoy it. But yeah, no, with Bros, it's just marketing, because even the 5-Year Engagement, it had marketing. I saw trailers for it. I saw TV spots for it. I haven't seen a damn, and there's the other thing right there. Because of streaming, there's less cable television. People have mostly internet and streaming apps now, to where they're not like seeing like little ads here and there. They don't have a specific time slot anymore at a certain time on a certain channel in which they can go see their commercials like it used to be.
Yeah.
It still happens on basic cable, but not many people have basic cable. Only time I see trailers on TV is when I'm at work and a patient's watching TV. That's it. And it's not often.
Do you want to know when I first realized that Bros was not going to be the phenomenon that Billy Eichner thinks it should be?
What? When? Sorry.
When I did not see even one headline about either parents groups or religious groups being upset about its release.
Yeah. Can I just stop you for 1 second? Your eyes are so blue.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. Now smile. Now bat them.
Wait, I'm not your monkey.
Adorbs. All right. Now, but either way, what are you saying?
When nobody was upset about this movie coming out, I realized, yeah, it's probably not going to do much, because they only the I don't want to say hate groups, but there are certain organizations that really latch on to being against what they'd call the gay agenda,
Yeah,
and when they didn't attach themselves to this as far as protesting, I mean, come on.
Like, can you imagine getting ready to go out to go see the premiere of your film? Like, okay, we're gonna have to fight through this protest, like in the super annoying Billy Eichner voice. Okay, everybody, we're gonna have to fight through these protesters. We're gonna go. Let's go. It's empty. It's like, what the fuck is everybody? Like, there's no one there. There's no protesters. No nothing. They cared that little about your movie because they didn't know about your movie. The 90s was like, this would have probably actually caused a hell of a stir in the 90s.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about Kevin Smith before with Clerks. I'm sorry, with Dogma. Like,
Dogma was hated so much, even Kevin Smith protested his movie.
Yeah, and even Kevin Smith, of all people, ended up on the news protesting his own movie.
Scott Mosier, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is that the name he used to protest?
Yeah, he didn't use his name.
He used Scott's name.
Did anybody ever tell you that you look like the director?
But either way, so, and here's Forbes actually put out an article on the 4th called, what was it, 4 Reasons Why 6 reasons why Bros was a box office disaster. It even starts off saying that no, it's not because white people failed to show up.
Well, I mean, yeah, it kind of is.
Here it is. He's like, when a major studio theatrical release playing 3,350 theaters only, because that's really not much, opens to 4.854 million in its Friday Sunday weekend. That means essentially nobody showed up at all. So I'm not going to pretend to be offended by my hetero comrades, although Eichner and director Nicholas Stoller got my money on Friday morning. Nor do I think guilting, scolding audiences over not seeing your movie is an effective way to encourage post-debut legs.
It's
I know it's horrible. Like I wish I would have seen this before I started reading this just now. Let's see. Okay, so I don't know if that's even a song. Theatrical. The first reason is theatrical live action comedies have struggled for years, which is what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
That even like he mentions like I think we talked about this before, like how television versus film comedies, how they actually compete with each other too. In this case, like Home Improvement and Seinfeld were neck to neck with each other. Like I mean, they're like so you have things like this, but people, it goes into what we were talking about, like people want big screen comedy for like things like Marvel, DC, in like the terms of Deadpool, Ant-Man, Shazam, or action comedies like The Lost City, Free Guy, Jumanji 2, etc.
Yeah, even the comedies that make money are spectacles.
Yep. Lacking bankable movie stars so far. Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson. They're like, didn't you say like, did you say Kevin Hart's in this movie, or is it Chris Rock?
Chris Rock.
Chris Rock. Okay. So yeah, it's like, I mean, you have like no bankable movie stars, so we covered that one. Marketing publicity sold importance over entertainment, which is I 100% agree with. I still have not seen a trailer for this movie. If I did, I sure as hell don't remember it. I keep hearing about how important this movie is for the gay community. It's like, guys, you're not the first movie about gay dating. It's been done multiple times. And I guarantee, with them being more low budget, they made more money off of those movies than you guys made off of yours. They're just, I get that they're happy because to them it's important that I got a national release when less than 4,000 movie theaters, it's not really that national. It's like in key parts of the country. And they avoided parts of the country for obvious reasons. But I maintain that if they had actually showed them in those parts of the country, people would have bought tickets out of hate. Because people are that dumb. So
trying to figure out what is the highest grossing comedy this year that's not attached to either a franchise or some other IP.
Oh no. But
Jackass Forever, that's a franchise. And that's the first one I see at 34 as far as just straight comedy that's not attached to a superhero flick.
Yeah, I mean, like, one thing I actually didn't think about either was it was released in it was released. Was it like in late September or early October? Because either way, you have like we are going into not just Halloween for October. We're going into award season right now.
Yes.
So that's another thing that's going to really affect this movie. So I mean, like, there's a lot of movies that are coming out that are labeled as important, like The Woman King, that like shit show. Don't Worry, Darling, which is another shit show.
I still want to see it. Don't worry.
I did. It's interesting.
It's an HBO thing for me.
It just doesn't help at all with any of that. Like, I mean, it's like you're trying to release this movie, you're trying to get this movie out there, and you're competing with all these Oscar grabs, Emmy grabs, like all these other things. Like, this is awards season, like ground zero for awards. Like, this is, you don't mess with these other movies,
Right?
So I guess we can always go back to the release date for that one. Let's see. And this is actually a good point right here. It was the first mainstream gay theatrical romantic comedy. And not that that's problematic, but the person that wrote this article goes into compare this to Rebel Wilson being in like the movie Isn't This Romantic as the first significant genre entry starring a larger actress, naturally, not like Gwyneth Paltrow in the fat suit, but an actual like heavy set leading actress.
Yeah.
But it says here, Bros failed to differentiate itself beyond, but this time with a same-sex couple. And that's right. That's all they did. Oh, it's the same thing you've seen over and over again, but this time it's two men. Like, then what's the story? What, you guys met on Grindr? Like, I don't know, Bumble? I don't know. Like, you guys met on like Tinder? That's all I know of the story. They met on a dating app and they whatever. So
I'm beginning to think that Bros might be the highest grossing original comedy of the year.
But here's the thing. My biggest thing with Bros?
What's that?
Diversity. Diversity can be an added value to your movie, right? It cannot be your only pitch for the movie. You have to have more. That's why there's things like a logline, a synopsis. Putting it out there just to put it out there. Diversity means shit when it comes to storytelling. Oh, this is a black person and a white person. They're really good people. They're great friends. Okay, cool. What's the story? Oh, it's a black person and a white person that are friends. Like, oh, it's a white guy and another white guy. They're gay. They're kissing, and they're like, will they versus the won't they thing? But they eventually do end up together. Okay, that's great. What's the story? You can have diversity and have an amazing story. Best of enemies, or was it best of enemies or best of frenemies? I forget what it was called. About the black woman and the KKK leader trying to come to terms with living peacefully with each other based on a real life situation. Not completely grounded in reality, but still diversity. And when I say diversity, I mean like there was a shit ton of racism in that movie too. It had to be KKK, but there was diversity.
Again, I do want to stress though that the people that have seen it, critics and audiences alike, both think Bros is a good movie.
Oh no, I have no doubt. My point is that diversity was what was used to sell the movie. At its core, that was all that was used. Nothing about anything original. Yeah, there's nothing original about it. Like it's like just okay. A couple meets online and they try dating. I guess it doesn't work out. Some wacky hijinks take place. They find out they're different. They fall away from each other for a little bit as they both try to figure out and reconcile. And they come back together and they, make it work. But with men. That's all I know of the movie. And it's only because it sounds like it's got the exact same buildup as any romantic comedy in the world, just with men. It's only being sold on the diversity. Let me know what the story's like. Tell me about the story. Don't tell me about just like, oh, it's guy on guy, girl on girl, guy, girl, two girls, one guy, two girls, cougar, 20-year-old that you pull from a ball. Like, I mean, I need to know what the story is.
2 girls, 1 cup.
Yeah, 2 girls, 1 cup. I mean, that poor cup, man. This girl's poor stomach. My God.
From what I've read, it looks like the story for Rose is 2 guys that are both not necessarily afraid of commitment, but not really for it. Suddenly find themselves hanging out with each other more and more until they accidentally wind up in a relationship.
Okay.
And they have to figure out, wait, is this... Did we just... Are we a thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's like... It's been done. But it's like, well, it seems like, well, just show me how yours is a little different. Dating app, that's been done. That's been done before. It's like but the whole point is diversity is what sold the movie. I think diversity is what got it great. Everything today has to be diverse. No ifs, ands, or buts. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it absolutely does not. But it's one of those deals where it's always used as like the biggest marketing platform for some reason. I don't get it. I cannot be the only one that's noticed that diversity has been the only big marketing platform for a lot of these movies that have been coming out. No, it's a diverse cast now. It's a new story, but like same thing, little different. There has to be more than that. There has to be like an actual story to it. There has to be like something. That's what I'm not really understanding with this. Again, I respect Billy Eichner. I really do. Like, and this man has gone a long way with his career. And honestly, like, dare I say, I'm actually very proud of Bill Eichner. So out of that like level of how proud I am of him, I'm going to go see this movie in theaters. I'm going to give him that respect because of how much I respect him. But diversity cannot be your only selling point for a movie. The dating thing, seen it. We know how it's going to end. They're going to end up together. Let me look at the plot real quick. Wikipedia. All right.
I give Nicholas Stoller credit because of Forgetting Sarah Marshall, for writing the Muppet movie with what's his face, Jason Segel. The he's got the chops to bring something original to a tired story.
Yeah.
Like when he did Neighbors. We've seen that done many times before, especially in the 80s. But somehow when he did it, he took actors that we are very familiar with and still made them
You know what he did?
incredibly fun to watch.
He updated it though. That's what he did. You're right. Like those college movies, like the crazy ass kids next door to an older couple, like move in, blah blah blah. I'm like, he made that. It's like The Hangover.
Mm-hmm.
It was made at the right time for that kind of humor.
Yeah,
that's the thing. The secret of comedy, timing. At all times. Rom-coms are not. This is not the time for a rom-com.
Not
it's
wide release.
Exactly, but that's the thing. That's the other failure. It was not a wide release. 3,000 movie theaters. You have Christ. We have like a few hundred in LA County. So 3,000 nationwide, that's not a lot, buddy. That's like spread out, like really the big, like where there are pockets of gay people and gay communities, that's where these movies were released. So again, you marginalize yourself because of your own diversity.
Well, to put it in perspective, Top Gun was released in 4,700 theaters.
Okay.
So that's a difference of about 1,000.
Well, almost like 1.5 thousand. Like it's still like it's spread out more.
Let's see, the Batman also 4,400. I'm just kind of like randomly.
But this is a universal. This is like a Universal Studios film. That's my point. If it was only pointed out like in like 3,300 movie theaters or something like that, it's a Universal flick. It's like this was set up for failure. This should have been actually put out like a lot more.
So it's between 1,000 and 2,000 fewer theaters than the major tent poles. But the major tent poles are also playing on. Well, is that screens or theaters?
Theaters. So Bros had its world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival, September 9th, 2022. Okay. It was scheduled for release on August 12th, 2022. Prior to its commercial release, the film was subjected to review bombing from users online. And that's one thing I actually don't get. I'll give that to them. I will absolutely give that to them. I did go into IMDb and I looked at some of the old reviews, and there are some people that have bombed this movie. It takes me back to Cuties, when you and I talked about that 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Was Cuties a phenomenal movie? No, absolutely not. It was out of dates. In the 90s, something like Cuties, if it was made alongside like Kids, it would have been great. It touched on some really dark shit that people don't want to see these days, like whatever. Watched that one time so I could talk about on the show. Have not gone back to watch it since. But the review bombing for that movie, things people were making up about the movie, saying that an 11 or 12-year-old girl revealed her breasts when that never happened in the movie. Just review bombing it. For the sake of getting people to not watch this movie.
Yeah, it's not like a Brooke Shields movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and and that Brooke Shields movie, whatever, I forget the name of it, where she plays that child prostitute. I didn't know anything about that movie, and I saw that in college. I see it's like a little 11-year-old girl stand up full frontal. I'm like, oh my God, hello. Like just, whatever. It's considered a classic and a masterpiece. I don't get it. Blue Lagoon, same thing. She was like 14 in that one. Boobies flopping all over the place. But with this though, it's like people are actually pretty brutal with it in the reviews, but thankfully, a lot of the reviews were taken with a grain of salt, but you needed more than just a trailer that was dropped back in what was it? When was it? May 2022, and then an official trailer released in June 2022. Yeah, it had 2 trailers for this movie. 2 trailers. Short little 5-second TV spots here and there. But where were the billboards? Where were the things really hyping this movie? It's Universal, for Christ's sake. Put it out there. But, this blood is on Universal's hands. Because, like I said, I guarantee they pretty much wanted Billy Eichner to go and promote it with his Billy on the Street shtick. So, yeah.
I think
But anyway,
we came up with some at least reasonable answers.
I think so. No.
And we also talked about some other movies that have just failed to show up at the box office.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Are you calling the show now?
Yup.
Okay. Let's call it.
Brandon.
Let's be blunt. It's time to go.
Show's over. Get your stuff and get out.
Okay. Bye.
Well, don't you want to talk about things like the WADcast.com and yada, yada, yada?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, real quick. The WADcast.com is going to be down for a little bit, starting the end of this month. It's one because we're going to be revamping it again. We're trying to find a better home for it outside of GoDaddy. Because it was brought to my attention that me and Josh have, well, both of us have apparently been getting screwed in pricing for a while. So the GoDaddy, I'm sorry, the WADcast website's going to be down. Huh?
Said it's the only way I'm getting any.
I'll send you a nudie after this show. But either way, so that being the case, Instagram, TikTok, I've been putting some stuff together for the TikTok channel for the WADcast. Yeah, we do have the Twitter, but I don't think either one of us really uses that. So the best way that we actually update people is through Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all the WADcast, everything, all the handles, Facebook.com / Instagram.com / TikTok.com / it's all the WADcast.
It's not a WADcast, it's the WADcast.
The WADcast. And you'll notice because it's always the black banner with the white lettering in it that says the WADcast in it.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can also follow me on Instagram as under bjacksman1982. I most likely won't follow you back because I don't really follow anyone back on that one. And that's it. So, but yeah, Josh, go ahead and do your thing. I am going to get out of here though because I do have to get ready to do my thing here. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye, sweetness. Love you. Mwah.
Get out of here, you scamp. All right. I'm going to remind you to go to wadcomedia.com to find out all of the latest, greatest when it comes to Wadco Media. And that's the little company that, we run here on Wednesday nights. You can check out a list podcast. That's a podcast all about making lists, especially when it comes to movies, called 10 to 1, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. You can find that show at the Wadco Media Facebook page. Join the conversation as we go live every Wednesday night. You can always check it on YouTube and Twitch as well, because we're on everything at once. And we'd love to hear your comments as we go through our list, Jen and I. And on Thursday, Jen hosts another Wadco Media show in association with her website, moviesandmeals.com. It's TV Dinners. This past Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, there was, I think, a great conversation about why we watch scary shows and what makes a show scary and whether or not the format is more beneficial for television. So TV Dinners is always about TV and different conversations around that subject. Next week, it is tropes, TV tropes. Some of the favorites, some of the least favorites, and a little bit of James Bond in there to really give some good examples about how all of these tropes work. And of course, there's the WADcast, the show you've been listening to for the last 90 minutes or so. We are here every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific to talk about writers, actors, directors, and all of those great jobs in between that help bring the magic of the movies and television to life. And, occasionally we do things like tonight where we do a little bit of industry talk. Again, not saying we're by any means experts on it, but we know enough to have an opinion, especially when it comes to things we like, things we're confused about, and well, all sorts of crazy stuff. But now's the part of the show where I hit the music. Yeah, there it is. And I'm going to lean a little bit closer into the microphone here. Hey, how's it going? I want to thank you all for joining us tonight for the WADcast number 108. We'll be back next week for episode 109 because that's how episode numbers work. What's it going to be about? Hell if I know. It's not 10 minutes before showtime. So we won't know until we know. But if we do figure it out, we will make sure to let you know at the WADcast Facebook page. Anyway, because the music's playing, it's time for the final thought. And it's the same final thought that we've had pretty much every episode since day one. So this is the 108th time I'm saying something like this. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. If you want to create, do it. Start writing, start shooting with the camera. Create the art that you want to see. Is it going to be great? Is it going to be perfect? Probably not. If you try to release in the theater, and by God, if you do have that ability, will it be a box office bump? Maybe. But if you're doing that, if you're going that route, be ready. Don't blame your supposed failures on other people because, quite frankly, just getting it into the building, just getting it into thousands of theaters is a victory unto itself. Unless you're the studio, and then you're the one that has to worry about those numbers. Don't worry about that. But as a creator, you want to tell your story. And the only way to do that is to just start doing it. So stop getting in your own way and be the thing that you want to be. This has been the WADcast episode number 108. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. We will be back again next week. Same bad time, same bad channel, right here on the WADcast. So I hope, in the meantime, everybody has a super awesome week.